Welcome to Rewiring Health, where you'll find a combination of science and spirituality to reclaim your health and realize your worth. I'm your host, Kelly Kessler, and I'm on a mission to help you stop self-abandoning and start embracing yourself. Join me as we dive into heart-centered, authentic conversations that not only will inspire you, but help you unlock a whole new perspective. You are here for a reason. Now let's dive in. It feels like a relentless search to seek out something to make us feel like we're enough. We look towards our finances, towards our jobs, towards our relationships, towards our accomplishments to feel like we finally are fulfilled. But yet this search often ends in us just feeling empty inside. And this is why I'm so honored to have my guest on today. Endre Hoffmann helps business owners and leaders who experience a lack of confidence, self-doubt, feeling exhausted, and working hard. He removes the struggles from the mind so that they can achieve confidence and peace within and reconnect with their authentic leadership and naturally high self-worth. What I love about this conversation is that Endre shares his story of how he's overcome some of these stories that he's told himself, some of these beliefs that he's had about himself to truly transform his life from the inside out. If you feel like you are on a relentless path of pushing, and feeling like you're exhausted and it still doesn't feel like it's enough, you want to tune into this conversation. It literally will transform the way you perceive yourself and life. I hope you enjoy. All right. Well, I'm so honored to have Endre Hoffmann on the podcast today. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, I'm very excited. Let's get going.
That's right. Absolutely. So you are known as a doctor of self-worth, and I would love to hear the backstory of that. What brought you along this journey and helping the people that you do in the ways that you do?
It's a very long story, but if I wanted to make it short, then I somehow lost my self-worth when I was young. At my childhood, probably about age 5, 6, I had this, well, not so ideal connection, more so disconnection with my dad. And I wanted to prove myself, to gain his love. That was pretty much the blueprint for me for life. Mm-hmm. And nothing has worked. I was winning, marathons and basketball in national championships. I was born in Hungary, Central Europe. And I remember he was coming home, always kind of angry, agitated, fairly aggressive, know-it-all. He had these attitudes, and well, he didn't know what love is or how to love himself or anyone else. The other problem was he didn't trust, and his business was about, for 20 years, kicking out all of his the other owners, and eventually in 20 years he was able to own this business that didn't go well because he didn't know how to delegate. So I had this whole insecurity going on, never feeling good enough, never feeling I deserve more or attention or love. I was always asking myself, am I in the right place? Always measuring people up. Am I better or worse, inferior? So I decided I work in banking because I had no idea who I was and what to do with my life. And that thought, like, if I can make money, it's better if I have no clue about me. And about 5 years, I realized I need to find answers. And that's where I started to move overseas, first to Ireland for, I think it was for 8 months, it was. The next was New Zealand, where I lived for 7 years. And there I had this idea that probably I need to work 6-7 months and travel the rest of the year. And then I was looking for spiritual gurus to tell me what's wrong with me, personal development books, and seminars, hypnotherapy, past life regression. Like, I really started to invest into finding answers. Then I moved back to Europe. I tried again with my dad. It didn't work. I started up a few businesses. I ran them into the ground. Then I moved to Australia. By the time I had 2 children and a wife, and I was back again working hard, not having enough time, and money. And eventually my life ended up in this edge of collapse. 6 years ago, I was working 60, 70 hours a week, and I was doing volunteering work like a good citizen. Mm-hmm. And that week, I remember my wife asked me, "Is it time for us to divorce?" And I had a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old son. I thought, well, this is a total failure. I was running away from Europe to get rid of my dad and to not repeat. Yet here is me. I'm bashing myself up, angry at myself why I have to work so hard. I can't have my life back as a backpacker. I traveled 70 countries around 5 continents. And now I even have a wife. I need to make them happy. I need to earn all this money. I thought, well, I can't believe it. I have done a full circle. And at that time, I believe I made one decision. And I said, well, if there's, I had massive goals before about finances, about how to, own a property portfolio, all of those things. I said, well, if this one thing, is this one thing I can handle, this insecurity, this lack of confidence, this lack of self-worth, then maybe my life would mean something. And that week, when I got home, I had that little time when I connected with my kids and they were telling me these wonderful stories. Or I was reading bedtime stories actually, and I always allowed them to slap me in the face if I fell asleep. It became that week again became a slapping competition. Young boys, it's funny to slap dad in the face. Yet, yeah, I was crumbling inside. I thought, how I deserve these slaps. Like I deserve to be hit because I failed as a man. I failed as a husband. I was disconnected from my wife, always working. I had this side hustle. So whenever I got home, straight away into the business. And I didn't earn money. So I was doing it to break out of the job. It was an absolute victimhood. And then my wife said, well, we got to do something about this. And I said, well, they didn't even trust me anymore that I can transform myself. I was telling them for 10 years that, that will be different. There'll be more time. And this vicious circle has never stopped. But then I said to my wife the next day, I said, well, let me think. And I don't know, I had the balls. I said to her, I believe there is a better version of our lives. There's more freedom, maybe abundance. I don't know how I could maybe make a difference in the world and maybe charge for it. But I said, if you leave me, I accept it. But I won't give up. I spent by that time $100,000, and I said, well, probably I'll be the guy who has this tomb that says he's tried until the last moment and he dropped dead. That's his life, that he never made it. So, but somehow something has happened inside me, probably through these hard times and that massive pressure. My health was collapsing too. And I attracted within 3 or 6 months. So 34 years of feeling worthless and then massive pressure. I hope this is teaching something to your audience. And then probably 100% commitment has come into the picture. And then within 3 to 6 months, I found a mindset coach, emotional healer in one. And he had helped me to rewrite my whole life story, the struggles with my dad. And the Doctor of Self-Worth brand came out of this transformation. Ever since I've been helping others to make this quantum leap from their old self, their struggle, the pain, things are not going well, to the new version of themselves, to really get what they want and what they deserve in life. And that's what excites me the most, to shortcut the journey and cut the $100,000 and the 7 continents to the 30 years. Like I was looking for answers outside. It was wrong. I should have been looking more so inside and maybe ask for help.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, so much of what you said just very much resonates with me. And I think so many of us get caught in that loop, even though the story may be different, but we're always like grasping for something outside ourselves to feel like we're enough. And, like that could be through achievement, or it could be, like the finances, and trying to feel like, okay, this will be the answer. And you said it exactly. It's like you looked outside yourself so much, but you had the answers within yourself that whole time. And it's like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, she's trying to get home, trying to figure all these ways to get home, but she had the ruby slippers with her the entire time. If she had just clicked, she could be just home. And we don't realize we have that power to take ourselves home.
at all times. And when did I know you talk about like you had all the pressure and everything was, you had your back against the wall and everything was kind of collapsing around you. What did that look like in that moment, that pivotal moment where you feel like I have to do something? Where was your starting point at that point?
Well, as I said, that week was terrible. The slapping competition with my kids. My wife asked me, "Is it done?"
Mhm.
And a few days before, I almost had. I was driving trucks at night, so I make more money.
Mhm.
And I woke up twice in the emergency lane while driving in a truck, falling asleep. So I knew probably there is a literal brick wall is coming my way, and I'm going to hit it. And probably I was lucky enough to have that conversation with my wife.
Mhm.
And as I said, I had no options left. I was about to lose my kids, my family, who I was working for supposedly.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, I can't give up. I just
Mhm.
have to find something that works. And probably I was up to 40 or 50 things that I tried by that time. So
Wow.
that wasn't much trust. My wife said, well, you're wasting all this money. I was away on weekends, the Tony
Mhm.
Robbins, fire walking, and
Mhm.
unleash the power within. Like I was doing DeMartini stuff, like all of these, and it seemed like I'm beyond help. I'm a
Mhm.
hopeless case.
Mhm.
And then it looks like this mind is giving in when
Mhm.
there is a commitment, there is no plan B.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what I needed. And I tend to see that, unfortunately, that a lot of people has to come near the edge
Mhm.
to to
Yeah.
finally decide to change and shift and ask for help.
Mhm.
And that was a big one for me. I never actually chose that because I already paid for these problems. When you're down thousands and thousands of dollars and they tell you, oh, now pull out the $5,000. And I said, well, I came here to get this and it didn't work. Now you
Mhm.
want another $5,000 for something that is going to bring me to where I wanted to go in the first place. I said, this is just not on.
Mhm. Yeah.
And probably that's why I set new standards in my own practice. I say, well, I give everyone a free conversation. If I can help, then I guarantee results. And if I can't help, then I'll just say goodbye.
Mhm.
To
Absolutely.
save people money, time, resources, and I don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
There's a cleanup that's needed in this industry. Do
Mhm.
you agree?
100%, absolutely. And that is, it is, when you talk about you spent all the money and you're getting all the resources and still not feeling any differently, that is almost a worse position than not seeking out the resources because now you're like, okay, I had hope and then the hope gets diminished. You had hope and then the hope gets diminished. And it's that roller coaster ride of like, you said it, like maybe I'm not able to be helped. And that is so damaging to somebody who's already in such a dark place and now you're relying on these resources thinking that that'll be the answer and then it's not and then it just leaves you in that void and that is such a tough place to be in completely. And you talked about that coach that made a difference and that encompassed the emotional side. Can you talk about your experience with that? What was the pivotal moment where you started to see changes within yourself and you started to recognize that you were able to be helped and you were making progress in that?
Well, I would love to say there was a pivotal moment.
Mm,
I believe there were small, maybe satori, they could call it
mm,
in Japanese, these small breakthroughs and new realizations about the stories probably I was telling myself up to that point. So
mhm,
there was less self beat up.
mhm,
There was more so understanding that, my dad he was the one beyond help.
mhm,
By the way, he died in the 10 years ago because all of his issues has culminated in three incurable diseases. And he has probably run out of chances and
mhm,
he died. But yeah, in my case, it was mostly NLP based, a few other emotional healing let's say, techniques. And probably, I think being specific, especially this not good enough, there is not enough time, there is not enough money. And I found the root of these patterns were going back to my grandparents. Like, they lived through 2 world wars in Europe. Like, it's a place where you don't want to be. The Germans are coming, then the Russians taking what's left and more. And my grandfather's been for another 5 years in, they call this in a labor camp. And I was the scarce of everything. So, I mean, it was sort of passed down in our family there, and there was no private ownership either in communist countries. So there was a lot of stories that backed up our hopelessness. And when they were released, so to speak, or when they were translated or flipped, and I realized that, the 30 years could make some sense if I'm now using it to serve others. So finding the meaning with the 30 years of struggle has been fundamental for me to realize, so if I'm changing, and it took me, as I said, 6 to 12 months, sometimes group, sometimes one-on-ones, I realized that, this must be needed. It must be millions of people out there who are stuck in their head, who are finding triggering moments. And that was me too. Like, I could not literally speak more than in front of 2 people.
Yeah, absolutely.
My face went red, and I basically just switched off. And I was able to go through school until the final thesis in uni to never speak in front of an audience. I basically called in sick. Sorry, I'm not available. Here is the thing. Read it, mark it, however you want it, but then I'll be back. And I was able somehow, and this avoidance, if you're listening to us and you see these avoidance patterns, and you want to find the root, because it could run your life and your results. And I'm also saying lack of maybe the results that you are looking for.
Absolutely. And you talk about the root, and that's so key, because so many things are just kind of like covering that up, or people do a lot of coping mechanisms where they're just trying to mask what's going on, but it's only when you actually get to the root of it is when things start to transform. And you talk about the generational cycles and what you're experiencing, all these messagings that have been passed down. A lot of these are under the surface. You don't even realize that you're living by these belief systems until you actually do that deep dive and realize, like, oh, that's not true. I don't have to live by that. And we always have the power to change the meaning behind things. And that's truly where our power is. And can you go into that a little bit more of like what were some of those things that you started to change, the dialogue that you started to change, or the belief systems that you started to change about yourself?
But I have to work hard. My dad worked 6-7 days a week. And I was starting to realize that he may not have just worked to work hard and to earn a lot of money. Not that he shared with us. There was some domestic violence too, but that's another thing. But I realized this does not serve me, because I've started to see, remember when they, when you live with the blinders on, let's say I have these blinders and I can see that, this guy is working hard. My uncles have worked hard, and yes, money comes in difficult ways. It's a struggle. But when you take this off, then you start to see the opposite examples. That, there are entrepreneurs who have built, assets, who have built businesses where it's all about contribution, it's fun, and they earn money, and they enjoy themselves, and they have a really fantastic family and areas of life, in a wonderful place. And I started to see more and more of that. So I'm not saying for some people, there's these magic shifts, and I find usually 3 or 5 bigger patterns that needs to go. The other big one for me, and I was sitting on that for a long time, is this idea of I can't make money out of my passion.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was killing me.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was trying to work a lot. So I have a few months to do volunteering work. So I was telling myself, now I'm doing what I would love to. I want to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had to go back to work again,
Mm-hmm.
10, 12 hours a day. And then hoping for a few months, because I worked so much that usually I had to release my frustration. So then I took family for a few weeks or months to overseas holidays. And I was saying, oh, I can handle this. It helps. But I knew I have to go back to work. So I think the magic formula is really somehow turn passion into your business, or somehow to operate from that place where you do what you love every day. And I want you to set your own terms. If it's 3 hours a day or 3 days a week, well, there is a formula. Somebody must have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have specific beliefs. They do operate from specific emotions. So what if you started to adopt and take them on? So I think these 2 big ones were life-changing for me to realize it's false. Hard work is giving up your life, especially if you do something that is not fun and not enjoyable. I mean, and there was one big book maybe that you might want to look up. It's called Five Regrets of the I think it's called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. It's written by an Australian woman, I think Rhonda Byrne, or I don't know. I think Rhonda.
Yeah. She
And
did a secret, I think, right?
maybe we'll put it under, but
yeah.
But then they really helped me to confront and face what's coming. And I didn't have a really good chance with where I was going before.
Yeah.
I would most of those 5 regrets, because I was playing small. That was the other one. Playing safe, playing small, not to stand out, not to be criticized. Remember, my dad was criticizing me. So for me to share my message, share my opinion, was a dangerous no-go zone.
Yeah.
And with the change of environment, and this is where I think coaches, mentors are absolutely crucial, and their group or their communities are the 2 most important factors for changing minds and changing lives. Because once the environment shifts and once people are picked up on those limiting ideas and beliefs, or whatever is their language, then there is an accelerated growth starts to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you talk about the lens. It's like once you have that lens of clarity, now you start to see so many things differently in your life of like, oh, no wonder that was a struggle because I believe this. And it's like you start to see all those things that maybe you've gone through that in a different way than when you were living it. It's amazing. Like, at least from my experience, like by gaining that clarity, I've seen so many things in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder I was having a hard time because I believed that at that time. And it's so interesting you talk about the 5 regrets, because I had a medium on the podcast, a few months ago, and I asked him that question, and I said, for the people that you communicate with on the other side, what was their biggest regret in this life? And they said, not having more fun. And so if that's not permission to enjoy this life a little bit more, I don't know what is, because it's like it's not supposed to be just suffering. Really, suffering, I think, is not living your purpose or aligning yourself with your values. So I think that's so amazing. What a gift to be like, okay, just embrace a little bit more fun in this world. And you can do that through work in those avenues. But I think it's so interesting you talk about that, those regrets. It's like you're going to get to the end of your life, and like, can you look back and think that you were living in alignment with yourself and what was authentic to yourself? And
Yeah, that's, oh, sorry, that was just one more idea I wanted to
yeah.
introduce. Like, to really, that was a channel who was able to connect me with my dad. I think
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years ago. So he was 5 years ago dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking, why have you been such a pain in the butt? Like what happened to you? How come you have been treating me like crap?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really interesting view to look at it from the soul's point of view. He said, well, you wouldn't have been so interested and open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we are in this what if we are in this wonderful game of evolution, of playing roles
Mm-hmm.
to make the most of another story, another incarnation, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe we have even given consent to trauma or the
Mm-hmm.
chance to have certain limitations, so we find out and we remember who we are somewhere along this wonderful earthly journey. And I believe coaches are absolutely the catalyst for
Mm-hmm.
people to find themselves and find meaning in life. And if those people are left to their own mind and to the trauma that drives their lives, then yes, 5 regrets of the dying.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I completely agree. Having that coach to hold space in those moments, because it's like a painting. If your eyes are right up against the painting, it's hard to see the painting for what it is. A coach allows you to get a little distance from it and be like, oh, okay, like gain more clarity and see it more clearly. And it's absolutely essential, no matter how far along you are in your journey, to have people that hold that space and help you along that journey. I think that's why we're all here. It's just kind of helping that past version of ourselves. And through that, we've walked, you coaches a lot of times have walked that path, and it's finding someone whose story resonates with you and you can really relate to them because they may be a few steps ahead of you on that path, and they can guide you through what they've gone through without having to go through all the brush and create that path. And it really is so important. I'm a huge advocate for seeking out that assistance, doing that inner work, but also realizing that you need someone to kind of hold that space for you in the journey. So, can you
Uh,
talk about, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, and say, can you talk about what your life is like today? What are some beliefs, in that transformation? What are some beliefs that you carry today? What are some things that you anchor into today that when, maybe life does get rocky, that you can ground yourself in a different belief system?
I think I have this no fear attitude or no limits person. Like I have last year. I thought, yeah, why not? And this is big for me too.
Mhm.
Why not set myself up and talk on university stages in the US?
Mhm.
I thought, all right, let's play that game.
Mhm.
I have really good games these days, and yes, it's all happening. There's speaking reels, but I believe that there is a constellation
Mhm.
for magical shifts and results to seem to happen by accident or coincidence. Yet I believe when that subconscious mind aligns with the universal mind, or however you say, the intuition, and you get these impossible, beautiful uh, coincidences start to happen for you, then you may be just one deal away from a life of freedom,
Mhm.
from a life on your terms. And this is what I do now. I love. We bought this kind of organic farm last year. We traveled around for 8 months in Europe because we didn't know where we want to move with 2 children. We're homeschooling them. So yeah, we traveled around with a caravan. It was a bit of an adventure and visiting about 20 countries.
Mhm.
And we ended up, yeah, eating organic We are just setting up the soil and the farm, and I was just back from cutting wood. A more nature-based life. That's what we had chosen. Caravan, I still have it, and probably I'll get around Italy a few times a year because it's not too far for us, about 5 hours drive. Lucky,
Yeah.
and it's a big and beautiful place. I love paragliding. I'm waiting for now for the snow to build up enough on the ski fields in Austria, because we live in the Hungarian-Austrian border. And mobility and freedom was my main values, to sort of work when I want to and work from anywhere, anytime. And this is what happened last year. Like, most people didn't even know I was doing my podcast from the side of the road in southern Spain or Portugal or places. Probably 3 or 4 times I had problems with signal, obviously. I was still using a mobile phone as tethering internet, but with most of my clients and the group work, I was able to do the work from anywhere, anytime, and I was spending quality time with my family and children, and we had all of these wonderful new experiences. I love them because, like, I don't plan. I want to challenge me, and some don't like this, and I want to challenge others to, let's say, sharpen their senses. The road trips are absolutely good because you need to improvise. Like, you have no idea. Like, I have no idea where we're going to sleep. Usually at 4 or 5 p.m. we'll just pick a spot, and even then you would need to sometimes deal with the unexpected. And as long as you are in this trusting place of safe space, that it will work out, or noticing the signals or the signs, it all turns out to be wonderful and beautiful every time. And I want to teach this to people because it's a wonderful planet. The people are amazing. They love and want to give and share with you most of the things. So put on, where's my other glass? Not here. Put on the other glasses, that it's a wonderful word. You are loved, you are safe, and you can do what your heart whispers to do. And you could even turn it into a commercial organization if that's what you are called to do. I don't know if I answered your question. I don't remember what it was.
Well, I'll circle back, but I love that message because I think that's absolutely key. And I think you need to hear that, like, you are loved, you're worthy of this, like, you can do that and feel like you're not trapped in just doing what the external world tells you to do. I think that's such a beautiful message and something that I think we all need to hear because, as a society, I think there's a message of scarcity and lack and fear. And so it's breaking through that and just anchoring into yourself. And, we have the choice to either live our life out of fear or live our life out of love. And it's like it's literally that simple. If we can just choose love every time, then we start to move ourselves in a better direction. And what I want to go, when the question was like, what I wanted to go into is, how would you describe your worth today? Like, how do you feel about yourself today? And what was that transformation of your inner values and your inner worth? What does that look like today for you?
I think the biggest was doing away with fear. It sometimes creeps up a bit, what if we won't have enough? But because of the journey I have come through, like, I know my resources and my belief in my fellow human beings. Like we're all in this together. They want to share what they have, even if it looks like the world is a dangerous place. I think certainly there are suburbs you don't want to go to, but I feel really good about myself. I pretty much, if I look at my calendar, then I'm doing things that inspires me. I have my own podcast where hopefully I will have you, Kelly, as soon as I can. I'm sharing the message of, well, the mind drives your results, and better be best friends with your subconscious mind, which is pretty much determining where you get your results in every area of life. And if you have, let's say, less than optimal results in any area of life, like, it has its roots. Don't play life at the highest level. Look for reflections in you. How have I created this suboptimal result? Like, what was I thinking? How was I behaving to attract it to me? Then you're making the fastest progress, I believe, because and maybe have a winning team. And I did work and did help a lot of people, and I have this, I was always telling myself, like, I want to have a winning team around me. People who are crushing their lives, so at least they have this authentic living and running a business in that entrepreneur space. Because I can have those 10-15 minute conversations with them where they tell me when I'm not listening. They tell me when I'm stuck in a mindset that, I think the biggest one is opening up to things that you don't know about yourself or about your thinking. Like, most businesses are suffering because the business owners think they know something for a fact, and they have lack of awareness. And other areas of life similar, the same. What do you not know that you might be doing that is causing you failures in relationships or in health? I think these are absolutely biggest pieces of the puzzle, and I want you to look at it a bit longer term. Like please give it a few years. We love, probably Kelly and myself, we love rapid transformation. Yes, the big ones, but if you could give to this mindset work, this transformation, a few years, you wouldn't even recognize where you came from.
100%.
Ask help from those who you resonate with. Ask as much as guarantee as you can. So then you can move on if it's not working. And I had plenty of those experiences before. But yeah, so my self-worth is really is loving my life and how it's turning out to be. It's a wonderful adventure now. And I can put things into my future that seem to happen. Obviously, I show up, I take action, yet I don't have to force it. There's another good book, it's called Force versus Power.
Yeah. Yep.
You might want to
I have it on my bookshelf behind me. Yeah. Not one I've read yet, but I have it. It's on my docket. Yeah.
Absolutely. Subtle ways of creating results, not through that, because that was me. The old self of me was, I have to work hard, I have to work 18 hours a day, and then maybe then I will get it.
Yeah.
Toxic.
Yeah. It's the fastest way to burnout and destruction. I mean, there's only so long you can maintain that pace. Yeah.
You come across people who they say, oh, you have to fight for it. Like, really? Like think of it. If you believe that you have to fight for whatever, then you're attracting and people to fight with. Like, do you really want to fight?
No. Yeah.
We're not too far from Ukraine here, and I can tell you, not a good energy. Cooperate, flow, and allow to receive.
Absolutely.
And yeah, make space for it, to receive it, and then love the outcome and move on, and maybe teach others to have those results as soon as they can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that was such a big eye opener to my that masculine versus feminine energy of like for me, I'm very much like that masculine, like go, 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 go. So I can so resonate with what you're saying because that's been me for years of like I just have to keep pushing at this and keep working hard and late nights and and that was like it was wearing on me until I realized like it is you so that flow and receive and slow down and like get clarity and not feel like it's just that like intense mindset all the time. Of course, you have to take action, but there's also that like beauty and allowing that feminine energy in the process as well. So I completely agree. One last question I want to ask because I always think this is so powerful in, you shared a lot of your story in the beginning and some of the struggles and challenges that you went through. What is your perception of those times now that you've gone through your own transformation? How do you view those? And your and maybe the meaning behind those and where it brought you to today.
It was literally living in another universe.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very dark and limited place.
Mm-hmm.
And probably I have, because with this work, you always want to make sure that carrying negative emotions, yes, it stuffs up your life. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it gets your health,
Mm-hmm.
and you will get there if you are carrying them on, it's toxic, it's going to come out somewhere, it will mess with one of your organs. So at least for being healthy, do the work. And the work is really letting go of the past. And as I said, for me, it's a new life of opportunities, of joy and fun. And I look at a very long
Mm-hmm.
and really painful learning curve if I look back. Of course, I have these stories now to tell. So it has all made sense. But if I could do this in 5 years' time
Mm-hmm.
and to really live an empowered life from age 25, maybe I would choose that.
Mm-hmm.
To,
Absolutely.
short, to shortcut the pain and then and be the empowerment coach at age 30, 35, and maybe teach an easier lesson to my family and kids. Because see, now my son up to the age of 8 or 9 has seen and experienced his old dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do some work
Mm-hmm.
to reconnect him, and I still see some repercussions of my old self in my children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still carrying some of the stuff. I'm a much better version.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for your children, you really want to pass it on.
Mm-hmm.
Your emotional patterns, your limiting ideas about money or abundance, or yet you are not loved or won't be approved. You
Mm-hmm.
certainly don't want to give them that sort of a story because
Mm-hmm.
they will play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see how I have been able to help my son. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very not an ideal situation, but I have such a deep relationship with them that I could do some mindset work as well as really helping them out of my old patterns.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Someone to help you become a master at it, or you get someone to help you, because the new life is this is how I want you to see the world. So you are here at this moment in time, in space and time, and towards the future you have a million variations. But if nothing changes, especially your emotion and mind, just go into repetition. But those other versions of the future are still open, still available for you if there is a shift.
Mm-hmm.
Little shifts or big shifts, but you can't avoid this beautiful work that will set you free.
Mm-hmm.
Set
Absolutely.
you emotionally, set you free later on financially,
Mm-hmm.
and then contribute the best possible way from your true version of authenticity, however you feel like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you said. And I truly believe I have two boys, and I really believe like the best gift we can give our kids is the most healed version of ourselves. And I really feel like, that is such a gift to be able to go through your own inner work and allow them to see a different version of you, and also allow them to see a different version of themselves through you. So I think that's beautiful. And for someone who would like to connect with you, find out more about what you do, can you share where they can find you?
Oh, thanks. The easiest way is to just punch in hashtag Doctor of Self-Worth. That's DOCTOR of Self-Worth. Or the website is www.doctorofselfworth, all in one block, DOCTOR.com. And you can have a look what I'm doing. There's a free newsletter. As on the resources page, there's 6 steps to sort your SHIT out so you get what you want. There's a few easy. They are just 3-5 pages, because I was telling this to someone today that getting results is not complicated if you don't complicate it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Humans, we are just amazing at overthinking and messing up with even figuring out what the problem is. Like most people, and probably had the experience, they come to me, oh, my business is not working. And then I find out they're taking care of everyone else. Not a big problem.
Yes,
Is there,
100%.
I mean, how would they be able to sell then if it's about people pleasing and they bring that pattern into their business? Of course, then other areas of life are suffering. So I'm very excited to speak with you again. I mean, I loved this. It's been amazing. I hope we'll create some more content later on.
Absolutely. It's been so awesome collaborating with you, and I'm so looking forward to continuing the connection. And I'm so grateful for everything you shared today. Your story, I know, will resonate with so many people. It may look a little different in their life, but it's the same patterns that you can see that come in life, and just really create whatever your reality is. So I'm so grateful for everything you shared. I know it's definitely going to help people in tremendous ways. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Take ownership of your results, and then change is not too far.
Absolutely. 100%. And thank you again for everyone who's tuned in today, and definitely follow Endre on all his platforms. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Rewiring Health. I hope you found our conversation both enlightening and empowering. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to Rewiring Health so that you never miss an update. Also, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you could take a moment to rate and review the show, it would mean the world to me and help others discover the power that we all have within us to create change and create the life that we truly, truly desire. Thank you so much for spending your precious time with me and sharing the energy of the show.